Okay, so let's start with a nice, easy little lesson. So come and lie down on your mat or on your towel or on your bed, wherever you're going to be practicing for the 14 days. You're lying on your back and stretch your legs out, or just let them go long. Let your arms rest wherever they're resting, and just take a moment to notice the ground underneath you. Be a good idea if I time this. There we go. Otherwise, I'll just talk forever. You'll fall asleep. Hmm. Lovely. So it's really nice just to let go of everything. It's like, oh, notice the support of the ground underneath you. And we'll talk about this in the relaxation lesson I'm going to do. There's a nice way of feeling the support of the earth. It's always there to support you. Lovely. Okay, so bend your knees so your feet are what we call standing. So your feet are actually on the ground. And allow your hands to find your lumbar spine. So put your hands underneath your lower back. So behind the navel is where your lumbar spine is. You've got 5 bones. And as you breathe out, let that lumbar spine squash gently your hands. And as you breathe in, let that lower back come away from your hands. Don't worry if you're, excuse me, got a few things to think about. Don't worry about the breath so much at the moment. If you're trying to coordinate it with the movement, just breathe as you breathe. Don't want you to hold your breath. So you're squashing the hands. That's called a flat back. You might be there already. Excuse me. And as you arch your back, you come away from your hands. You're creating space underneath your lower back. So there's a few different posture types. And this is one way of just trying to notice the habitual holding of your spine, of your muscles in your lumbar spine, how you respond to your emotions, the world around you, stress, happiness, all the stuff that happens to us during our day. Now, can you find a halfway point? So you're not completely squashing your hands, they're not completely come away from your hands, but just find a touching, a light touching of your hands. And if your arms start to feel achy, bring them away from you. Now, can you pick up one foot off the floor, just a little bit off the floor, and then put it back down again? And do that again. Same leg. Are you holding your breath? Maybe you could breathe in as you lift your foot. Maybe you could breathe out as you put your foot down. And go slowly enough to notice it's not just the picking up of the foot, it's what's happening in your lower back. Can you maintain that softness of touch in your lumbar spine on your hand as you move your foot? Now let your foot come down. Change legs. Move your hands if you want to. If you want to have you had enough with your hands being there, move them out of the way. But you're maintaining that connection, that feeling of where your spine is and where your pelvis is. So lifting the other leg as it comes up. That's it. And then slowly placing it back down. So being gentle with yourself. So don't push yourself into thinking what it should be like. Just notice where you are at this moment. And notice if one side feels different to the other, if one side feels easier, one side feels harder. You're just being aware. We're not symmetrical human beings, so they're not going to be the same. And then let that go. Hug your right knee in towards you. Let your left leg that you've just worked just stretch out. Now use your right hand to keep that left knee hugged in and put your left hand behind the head. So your right hand is holding the right hand is holding the right knee in and your left hand is behind your head. Now, as you breathe out, let your left elbow come forward and then let it twist towards your right knee and then bring yourself back to the floor. So you're going to lift your head and lift your left shoulder off the floor as you twist your left elbow towards your right knee and then you come back. So your right knee is not going towards your elbow, it's the upper body going towards the lower body. So your upper left shoulder and your elbow is twisting towards your right knee, and then you come back. Relax your jaw. Notice where your eyes are looking. Can they look at your knee or beyond towards the right side of your knee? Maybe the wall behind you, in front of you, and that diagonal in that corner. And then let that go. Let it all go for a moment. And then you're going to use your left hand to hug your left knee in. So when you feel ready, pick up your left knee, holding it with your left hand in front of the knee or underneath the knee, whichever is more comfortable. Right hand behind your head. And as you bring your elbow forward, slowly breathe out. And as you breathe out, you twist your right elbow towards your left knee in that direction. And then you come back to the floor. So if you want to focus on the breath, you exhale as you twist, because it's easier to press all the air out as you rotate. And as you inhale, you come back. So you're not rushing, you're noticing how the movement begins. Where are you turning from? Are you using your right shoulder, the back of your shoulder blade? Are you using your rib cage on that right side to twist towards the left knee? What is your pelvis doing? Are your toes relaxed? What's happening to your jaw? Your jaw, is it soft? Your eyes, are they soft? And then let both feet come back down to the floor. Bend your knees, both feet on the ground. Now keep your hands behind your head, but bring your elbows together or towards each other. And as you breathe out, can you lift your head, look towards your navel and your elbows, just aiming towards your thighs, and then slowly come back down. Now, obviously, some people call this a sit-up. We're just going to call it a curl because it's a nicer termination than a sit-up. Always evokes this like movement. And that means you tighten your jaw and your shoulders. So we don't want to do that. So you want to feel that when you lift, if you find it easier, one of your hands could go onto your chest bone and you can gently feel that your fingers are pressing your chest bone back towards your spine as if it's going between your shoulder blades. So when you lift your head, your chin will just gently drop towards your pubic bone and let your chest bone feel as if it's pressing down and backwards, and then come back to the floor. So that will help you feel that you're curling upwards rather than this rigid upper back, which is sometimes when you do that, you feel the neck will take over. And that's why in sit-up, sometimes the neck feels painful because you're trying to hold the weight of your head up rather than using what's happening in the flexibility of your spine and your abdominals. So less use of the neck, more use of the abdominal muscles, and pelvic floor is joining in without even thinking about it. Then come back and rest. Well, I mean, we've done 7 minutes already. It's gone really quick. And come and lie over onto your front. So rest your forehead on your hands when you get there. Okay, palms down. Forehead on the back of your hands. Legs are out long behind you. And just breathe into your belly there for a moment. So notice your breath as you lie on your front. Now, as you rest your forehead on your hands, notice where your little fingers are. And I want you to imagine there's a little ladybird just the other side of your little fingers. Little ladybird on the floor. And it's starting to walk away from your hands. Can you lift your head and look at that little imaginary ladybird as it starts to walk away from your hands? Can you lift your head and watch it go? It's walking away. It's walking away. You might want to lift your head a little bit higher as you watch it. Imagine there's a wall in front of you, or maybe there is, and it starts to walk up the wall. Can you watch the ladybird walk up the wall? Hands stay down, elbows stay down. Maybe your chest is lifting a little bit. Maybe you feel like you're starting to fold into the middle of your back and then come back down. Imagine that ladybird's coming back down the wall and it's coming back to where your little fingers are. Bring your head back down and rest there for a moment. Okay, imagine that ladybird again. Start to lift the head and watch it go. Now, if you feel you went too high that time, then only imagine that ladybird going a little bit away from you towards the skirting board, and then it comes back. So you're starting to bring in the extensor muscles that go all the way down either side of your spine that help keep you upright. Sometimes these aren't working so well because we get tired and we get exhausted and we overwork the upper shoulders or the neck to try and keep us upwards, or the lower back. And the muscles between the shoulder blades don't feel as if they're doing as much. So a back bending exercise is beneficial, but sometimes it feels like it might take time to get there. So I don't want you to feel as if you're forcing it. Make the movement feel fluid. This ladybird moves away and then it comes back. Lovely. And then come and roll back over onto your back and hug your knees in when you get there. Oh, we've done 9 minutes. See, it goes so quick. So hugging your knees in when you get there. Lovely. And then let your arms come down 1 foot at a time, bring them down to the floor. 1 foot at a time. If you take both feet down at the same time, it's a lot of weight. The legs weigh a lot and your back will arch. We don't want your back to arch to hold onto the weight of your legs. So let your feet stay on the ground, knees are bent, bring your knees together. And as you breathe out, let your knees go to one side and turn the head in the opposite direction. Bring the head back to the middle, bring your knees back to the middle. Let your knees go to the other side, let your head turn in the other direction. Come back to the middle, breathe in, breathe out as you turn, head one way, knees the other. Breathe in, come back to the middle, breathe out, other direction. Do a couple more. Noticing it feels like if you had a tea towel that was soaking wet and you were wringing it out, or a J cloth and wringing it out, you'd notice that it turns one way with one hand and one way with the other hand, kind of feeling that you're doing this. You're wringing out your spine, you're wringing out your ribs and all the tension from the day. And then come roll over onto one side. And when you feel ready, if you wish, come up and stand. Or if you want to spend a bit more time on the floor, you can do that. But if you are coming up to stand, can you just be aware of your feet? Can you shift your weight forwards, shift your weight backwards, shifting the weight into the front of the foot and into the back of the foot? And just being aware as you do that, what feels more normal for you? Does it feel more in the room? Does it feel nicer to be in the back of the heel? Maybe your toes lift when you do that. And would it feel nicer to be in the front of the foot? And notice when you go into the front of the foot, maybe your toes feel like they're clawing at the ground. Can you find a halfway point? Lovely. And then let it go. Thank you for practicing our first little lesson. Okay, I think we've got glutes coming up and hips and a little bit of core as well. So there's an extra video that's going to be put in here for Pilates for the pelvic floor, but it's about 20 minutes. It's quite a long one, but you don't have to do the whole thing. You can just do 5 or 10 minutes. It's bringing awareness to the pelvic floor as well. So it's extra pelvic floor stuff in that lesson, specifically for the pelvic floor.